What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about OnyxCoin today, XCN USD. Hit that like button, you guys. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and let's get into it. It is the third day of September, and here we are at about 1.08 cents with 8 hours and 20 minutes left in the day. 1.8% up on the day so far. I wouldn't be surprised if we did have lower to go, but perhaps what we do first is we get one of those little fake pumps right to the upside, maybe moving up to about 1.2 cents or higher. We are at 1.08 cents now, so something like that could happen, could be underway over the coming days, and then we likely do move down. I would think going into either the end of this week or sometime next week, I would think that we see lower prices. Still holding out for that idea that we do go just below 1 cent, low to high here. We're just above that 786. It would make a lot of sense to go down there. Again, we could move all the way up maybe to like 1.233 cents, something like that, up to this golden ratio, reject down, and then come to the 786, 886 area, just below 1 cent, if not right there at 0087. Not financial advice, not a financial advisor, but this is not promised. It's very possible that this is the low for OnyxCoin and that we move up from here. Although I will admit that this kind of reaction that we're having over the past couple days is not really contingent with what we normally see on these lows. Typically, you move up pretty fast once you find your low. So I don't think that this is the low. Um, Not a whole lot of volume coming in to the upside. Not a whole lot of volume coming into the downside either. But I definitely don't expect that we're done yet. I think we have just a little bit lower. Typically, when you get that close to the 786, you do complete the thought and you do get down there. That doesn't mean you have to get down there immediately. It's just maybe you come up a little bit, form a lower high within this range, go up to about 1.15, 1.23 cents, and then come down lower, right? That's kind of the expectation at the moment. Looking at the 1 hour time frame, we are rejecting off the overbought zone. 18 minutes left in this 1 hour time frame. It is kind of looking like a rejection candle. It's possible that this is all we get. We don't have to move higher, but I still would think that we move a little bit higher, but it's possible that this is all we get. We do have some gaps, right? And we know that OnyxCoin does like to fill its gaps, so there's a gap down here. That's my daughter. I don't know what that was about. Maybe she's watching a movie. Maybe there was something scary. I don't know. But there's a gap here. There's actually a gap right here too at this low close to opening 1 hour candle period here. So I really do think that we have lower prices to go inevitably. Even if we go higher, no matter how much higher we go from here, I think that we will go lower at some point. Rejecting the overbought zone. Stochastics are overbought, which is nice. The MACD looks nice. The RSI even looks relatively nice, but I don't like that you're rejecting the overbought zone. You probably come down to about 1.07 cents and then continue to move up, but I would still believe that you move up a little bit higher. Maybe you fill this gap, right? This gap down here. Are there any other gaps to the upside maybe? All the way up to like 1.2 cents, 1.23 cents maybe. Nope. I don't see any gaps. Oh, there's a gap right there. Yeah, from an opening, from a closing price. So at about 1.18 cents, maybe we go up and we fill that gap and then we come down. But definitely assuming that we have lower to go overall still. 1 hour time frame looks nice though, not gonna lie. Maybe a momentary pause, but nothing too crazy. Expect boring price action, right? 4 hour RSI is terrible. Stochastics are right where they are every single time we've rejected, relatively recently. And the MACD is showing signs of strength right now, but we're not getting any kind of productive results from that. So really it's kind of like a show of weakness in all honesty. It's like when you're giving it all you've got, but this is all you get, that's not good, man. So overall bearish on all of these indicators really. It's possible that we stop here. It is possible that we don't go higher, but I wouldn't be surprised is all I'm saying. I'm not calling for us to go up to like 1.23 cents or 1.18 cents. I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some kind of quick pump up there and then dumped back down as we have been doing, right? And then continue to march our way lower to prices that are just below 1 cent before finally seeing our onslaught to the upside. And I actually want to go over the XCN BTC chart real quick on KuCoin. Let's look at that real quick. It got real quiet in my daughter's room. I'm going to have to go check on her. Let's see. Oh, she's coming out to check on me. High to low here. Hold on, guys. What? Okay, so based off of this, I wouldn't be surprised if we went all the way down to the 236. But if we drop that much versus Bitcoin, I don't know if that's a good. Hopefully, what happens is Bitcoin just grows in value and OnyxCoin's not growing. I don't know. Do we see that? That's a 32% drop. I don't see that happening with XCN to BTC. Maybe this fib is not relevant. Maybe it's not something. I mean, we didn't find support at the 382. We did find resistance at the 0.5 and the 382, but I don't know. I don't know if that makes sense. We're not going to drop another 35. If we drop 35% versus BTC, that probably means we drop even more on the US dollar pair, and I don't see that happening, man. That would mean that we go below 0.007. Could it happen? Let's see. Can we make sense out of that? I mean, what, we go below that low? I don't see that happening. The only way that would happen if we were to come down that low and the XCN BTC pair went down to its prior resistance points here would be if Bitcoin happened to grow while OnyxCoin was decaying. Because if not, OnyxCoin would go below that low, and I don't see that happening. If it does go below that low, it'd be barely, but maybe we get some kind of double bottom, but I don't see that happening. We're closer to like a double bottom on the BTC charts right now. Maybe I'm looking at the wrong fib. Let's take this low to high. There we go, something like that. Okay, so we found resistance at the 0.5. Might we come down and find support at the 0.5? That kind of makes sense to me. Looking at the weekly RSI, this is the BTC pair, by the way. We do have higher lows still prevailing overall. The weekly RSI is very bullish. We're in an area where we actually would expect it to bounce, but we could go a little bit lower first. So that's actually a nice look there. The stochastics are bearish momentarily, suggesting that we do have lower to go. And the MACD is right at an area to bounce as well. So you've got your MACD and the RSI right at areas to bounce. Stochastics typically don't get really any lower than that right there, so probably expecting a bounce there as well. Over the coming weeks, we should see some positive price action take place, but let's look at the daily time frame too. Come on now. Come on now, MACD. Show me what you got. Let's see here. Looking like it wants to come lower. Yeah, that makes sense to me. Yep. The RSI does have some bullish divergence on it. If today closes green, that would just validate the idea that OnyxCoin might have a little bit higher to go first before it comes down. Stochastics are pointed up. I mean, overall, they're very bearish. Overall, it's very, very bearish on these indicators, so I wouldn't be surprised if we have lower to go. Like, that's not the low versus BTC. But in time, whenever we do move up higher, whenever we have found our low, somewhere probably below 1 cent, I don't think we're going to go all the way down to 007 prices. I think that we'll hold, probably above 009, but somewhere between 0.095 and 1 cent, I think is where we're going to go. And after we find support there and we start to move up, what's going on here? It just froze on me. Whoa. Come on now, TradingView. Don't crap out on me. Let's see here. I just need to get my computer cleaned up, man. From a high to a low, I would expect that we do move up all the way to about 26 to 32 cents. That is still the target area. And again, the reason why, and we can go over it, I don't want to spend too much time on this because we've already spent so much time talking about this before. But the reason why is that you had a very massive drop off, right? And you had a very massive, what we know now to be an accumulation range, clearly, because you had this fantastic move up. So very fantastic accumulation. Where did you stop? You stopped right here. This is XCN to BTC. You stopped right here at prior areas of support. Now, I don't think that you spent all this time accumulating to see a small move, and you didn't get a small move. You had a rather robust move. I don't think you spent all this time accumulating, which we are absolutely accumulating, shaking out the weak hands as well, to see a move that takes you just above that high, right? The only other area besides this low that makes sense to stop would be this high, okay? If we weren't to stop there, the only other areas beyond that would be all the way up here, because we're not going to stop in the middle of nowhere. So if we are to stop here at this low, or if we are to stop somewhere up in this area on the XCN to BTC pair, the prices that would correspond, let's just do it. Let's go over it real quick. Google calculator. And we'll take the minimum. We'll take the minimum, right? That's 608189. Okay. Come on. Dude, what's going on? Am I not allowed? Okay, there we go. 608189. That times the perceived price of Bitcoin, okay, which right now Bitcoin's at 112K, so Bitcoin will be above 120K, by the time OnyxCoin sees its next high? Absolutely it will. So let's just assume that OnyxCoin undeniably will be above 10 cents. Okay. Because again, the only other area, if you're not on board with this, and I think it makes the utmost sense that OnyxCoin would go all the way up here to 501872 or higher versus Bitcoin. I think that makes the utmost. That's what that is, right? -5 e -5. That's 5 zeros. That's 0.0005 times, right? If we're not going to stop here, we're not going to stop anywhere in this range, and it wouldn't make sense, in my opinion, to double top. I mean, hell, we could even do a double top. Let's do that. Let's be even more pessimistic. We're going to double top. We're going to accumulate all this. After all this, we're going to double top. Let's be even more pessimistic. Let's do 47561. 6 zeros, 47561 times, and again, $120,000 for Bitcoin. That puts us at a 5.7 cent price. Now, I don't know about you guys. We're back on the US dollar pair here. I have a hard time seeing us stop at 5.7 cents. Is that what it was? 5.7 cents, right? It doesn't line up with any fibs. It doesn't make any sense at all, right? Bitcoin will likely be at a higher price than 120K, so let's put it at a price that might make sense then, okay? Let's say 180K if it goes to where I think it's going to go. Let's even do 160K because maybe they don't top off at the same time. 160K puts it at 7.6 cents. That still doesn't make sense, right? So even being logically pessimistic on OnyxCoin, the price result on the US dollar pair does not really merit anything that makes sense either. So I don't think that it makes any sense at all to consider that OnyxCoin versus Bitcoin will double top. That line, in my opinion, is irrelevant. Not irrelevant as far as prior resistance goes, but as future resistance goes. I don't see it happening. This line is possible, and we can address that as a possibility. I just don't think it's going to happen, right? We do 6 zeros, 8189, and instead of by 120K, let's do it by 160K as well. That price gives us a 13-cent price. At least here we're making some sense, right? 13 cents would be between the 1414 and the 1618. We could stop just a little bit below there. If my math is off by a little bit, we could stop a little bit above there. If my math is off by a little bit, right? Instead of being at 160,000 for Bitcoin, maybe it's at a higher price or a lower price, right? But the only other area versus BTC for XCN that would make sense would be here. So if we stop there, we would at least anticipate then that OnyxCoin sees a 10 to a 15-cent price. 11 to 16 cents essentially is probably better represented there. But odds are we don't stop there. Again, this is pessimistic. We spent all this time accumulating to see a fantastic move like this. January, it's now September. We spent all this time accumulating, and what we're going to get is a move that's like, well, probably not as dramatic as this, but we're going to get a weak move that takes us to this high or just above this high. I don't think so. The only other area that makes sense would be this low here, right? Just as we stopped at our prior point of resistance here, our current area of resistance right at this low, I would think we stop at this low or maybe even higher. And that takes us to 501872. We do 501872. And we multiply that by the perceived outcome for Bitcoin. I mean, even if it goes to 120K, which it'll be above 120K, but again, just to show you what's kind of laughable, anything below 22 cents, in my opinion, is laughable. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense to consider prices that are below there. I know people are having fun with OnyxCoin being boring, all the trolls, all the haters, they love it, right? But they're not going to be here whenever it does see its true potential, and that's okay, right? That's fine. They can make fun. They'll learn their lesson probably, right? They'll learn their lesson, and then they'll be quiet the next time around. But we'll see. We'll see. We'll see how it all goes. XCN 26 to 32 cents is at the 1886, right? What's great about this is that from a high to a low here, the 1886 200 area is right at that same level. Okay. What's great about this is that if this is a bull flag, and I think that it is a giant bull flag here, if it is a bull flag from a low to a high, and you take this measure move, okay. That measure move takes you right up to that area as well, okay? If we see like a replicated move like that, and then if we take an overall high here to a low here, our 786 is right at that line as well. There's so many coincidences at that level, and it just makes a lot of sense that we get there. If we input that number there, 501872, we multiply it by the perceived outcome of $160,000 Bitcoin, which it might be at 180, so this would put the price even higher. It'd be, wait, did I do that right? I did something wrong. Hold on. Oh, I did. That's 6 zeros. My bad. I had the wrong one on there. Okay, hold on. Okay, so 5 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1872 times 160,000. That would give us a 30-cent price. I'm gonna go take care of my daughter. I gotta go. Okay, hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. Very confident in those prices, guys. Don't worry about OnyxCoin. Just buy more. All right, take.